They checked into room 314. I made sure of that. I watched the check-in timestamp update in real time through the hotel's online portal. Thank you, forgotten iCloud password. And there they were. 1 queen bed, 2 welcome drinks, and a reservation under a name I knew all too well. Marcy Parrish and Devon Strake. She didn't even bother using an alias. It wasn't the betrayal that got me. Not really. Not anymore. It was the fact that she used the same suitcase we picked out on our 7th anniversary trip to Sedona. That one with the broken zipper tab that always stuck halfway. She took our memories, zipped them up, and rolled them straight into someone else's arms on foreign sand. What Devon didn't know yet was that I upgraded their room. Romantic ocean view. Rose petals on the bed. Floating breakfast tray. All the Instagram nonsense. I even added one of those awkward couples massage packages. But I didn't pay for it. I billed it to his wife. Yep, Trina Strake. I bet Trina was home right now, feeding their golden doodle and wondering why her husband's credit card had a $782 charge from Ocean Pearl Romance Services Incorporated. Spoiler alert, she wouldn't have to wonder for long. The final invoice gets emailed to both guests and the cardholder once the room is checked out. I gave it 3 days, tops. 3 days until the call came. 3 days until Trina found out about the private chef dinner for 2. 3 days until Marcy realized her secret vacation was broadcast in 4K to the wrong audience. I wasn't always like this. I used to believe in forgiveness, communication, working it out. But then she started staying late at the gym. Then came the coded texts. Then the healing retreat, with people I'd never met, and no plus ones allowed. She made me invisible, so I made their affair undeniable. Let the sand get in their shoes. Let the champagne spill on the sheets. Let them soak up the sun, all while their carefully constructed lies began to crumble, one notification at a time. Room 314. They thought it was paradise. I made it a crime scene. It started with a ding. Not a dramatic one. Just the soft chime from my laptop, almost apologetic. I was watching a live stream of hummingbirds for background noise. Don't ask why. When the notification popped up in the corner of the screen. New email, Trina S. My stomach dropped like I'd swallowed a frozen rock. I didn't expect her to respond so fast. I wasn't even sure the email I used would still be active. But there it was, blinking at me. A 2-line message that hit harder than any screaming match ever could. Who the hell are you? And why am I paying for a couple's suite in the Dominican Republic? Trina Strake. No signature. No emojis. Just fire. For a moment, I considered ignoring it, pretending this wasn't happening. But I didn't come this far to flinch. So I opened my notes app, copied the booking confirmation, and sent her everything. Dates, names, add-ons, even the cheesy Lovebirds breakfast platter detail, because I wanted her to see just how disgusting this was. I waited. 5 minutes. 10. 15. Then my phone buzzed. Unknown number. I didn't answer. Instead, I watched the voicemail transcribe in real time. Hi, this is Trina. I don't really know what to say, but if this is true, you just saved me from making a really dumb mistake. I thought he was clean. I really did. Call me back if you want, or not. Either way, thank you. No rage. No drama. Just a voice breaking in half mid-sentence. And that did something to me. I always imagined revenge would feel triumphant. Explosive. But this was sad. It was 2 people, me and Trina, who never asked for this garbage, now standing in the same emotional wreckage left behind by the people we trusted most. I closed my eyes for a second and saw Marcy's face. Not smiling, just blank, like the last few months of our marriage. I realized I hadn't actually heard her laugh, not a real, belly-deep laugh, since our anniversary last year. Maybe longer. But before I could spiral into pathetic nostalgia, another notification popped up. Your requested delivery is en route. All right, the roses. I'd sent a bouquet to their room earlier that day. Not from me. From your forever admirer. 12 blood-red roses. A little card tucked between the thorns. For the woman who always needs more, enjoy your upgraded suite. I wanted her to panic. I wanted Devon to question everything. I wanted the whole room to go sour the second the door opened. Apparently, I got what I wanted. Because less than an hour later, I got another email, this time from the hotel's front desk. Dear Mr. Parrish, we received a request from Ms. Parrish regarding her upgraded reservation. She is confused about the charges and asking who authorized the additions. Should we respond? I stared at the message, grinning like an idiot. No, I typed. Please tell her it was a surprise gift. Let her enjoy it. Hit send. And just like that, the clock began ticking. I didn't know when Marcy would call me. Or if she would. Maybe she'd deny it all. Maybe she'd spin it into a misunderstanding. But the moment she read that card, my card, was the moment she knew someone was watching. And I wasn't hiding anymore. She took her little secret vacation. Now she gets the full service package. I didn't expect things to unravel so fast. Honestly, I thought I'd be waiting a few more days for the storm to reach them. But sometimes karma works express. It was 10:24 the next morning when I got a text from a number I hadn't saved in years. Marcy, did you do something? No greeting. No punctuation. Just 6 words that carried the weight of 1,000 unspoken lies. I stared at the screen, letting her anxiety soak for a while. She wanted me to flinch, to apologize, to pretend like she was the victim and I was the petty ex. She didn't know I'd already spoken to her lover's wife. She didn't know what I knew. She didn't know anything. I didn't respond. 15 minutes later, she tried again. Marcy, Kelton, seriously, did you upgrade the room? Now we were getting somewhere. So I replied, me, you should thank me. Ocean view. Extra bubbles. Thought you liked surprises. Read. Delivered. Silence. I waited 5 minutes. Then I opened the hotel's public guest photo gallery on their site. It was one of those tacky things resorts do to encourage sharing. See your vacation moments. I never thought I'd find anything. But there it was. 4th row. 2 people in white robes, smiling awkwardly while holding flutes of sparkling wine. Devin looked like he'd rather be anywhere else. Marcy had that forced half-smile she uses when she doesn't want her lipstick to smear. The caption, happy couple from room 314 enjoying their romance welcome package. I saved the image. Sent it straight to Trina. 30 seconds later, she called. I didn't answer. She texted instead. I just called the resort. They confirmed it's him. I'm done playing nice. He's not coming back to this house. I didn't know what that meant exactly, but it felt nuclear. A good kind of nuclear. Meanwhile, Marcy was spiraling. She tried calling twice. When I declined both times, she sent a voice memo, breathless, almost whispering, like she was scared someone might overhear. Kelton, what did you do? Devin thinks someone is following us. He thinks you sent someone to spy on us. Did you tell someone about this? About us? Oh, Mars. Us. Now you want to acknowledge us? That part almost made me laugh. Almost. But here's the twist. What she didn't know was that her precious Devin had his own secrets. Trina wasn't just a housewife with a golden retriever in a garden. Trina worked in legal compliance for a corporate financial group. Her job was to investigate hidden accounts, shady transactions, and unethical behavior among high-earning executives. And Devin? Devin was on the board of one of those companies. Yeah. So when Trina told me that she was opening a formal complaint through his firm's ethics department, I almost dropped my coffee. They have a code of conduct for senior management, she wrote. Personal misconduct during overseas travel is grounds for suspension. And I'm sending them that photo. I didn't even ask her to do it. She just did it. And that's when I realized I wasn't the only one who felt like a fool. We were 2 strangers, tied together by betrayal, slowly flipping every card on the table. And Marcy? She was sitting in a sunlit room, sipping stolen champagne, with no idea that the beach wasn't the only thing slipping out from under her feet. I thought the satisfaction would wear off after a day or 2. It didn't. If anything, watching them squirm under palm trees made my coffee taste richer, my mornings feel sharper. They were in paradise, but their smiles were cracking like cheap paint. Devin had gone from shirtless swagger to wearing sunglasses indoors, and Marcy, well, Marcy had finally stopped posting. That was the sign it was working. Silence from her is louder than any scream. Then came the bombshell. Trina booked a flight. Not next week. Not later. That same night. I'm done sitting still, she wrote me bluntly. You poke the bear. I'll finish the job. And she did. She forwarded me the itinerary. First-class ticket. Landing in Punta Cana the next morning. She even booked herself into the same resort, using a different last name so she wouldn't be flagged at check-in. I didn't know what she was planning. And honestly, I didn't want to know. I just wanted to watch it burn from a safe emotional distance. But something inside me, some nosy, pathetic part of me that still needed closure, asked her for one thing. Whatever you do, I wrote. Just let me see her face. She left the message on read. The next morning, I refreshed the hotel gallery like a man possessed. I knew they uploaded guest photos twice a day. I wasn't sure what I expected to find. Maybe a blurred shot of Trina in the background, maybe nothing. What I found instead made my heart stop. There, under a photo titled "Surprise Guest Arrival," was Trina, standing in the hotel lobby in a white linen dress, sunglasses perched on her head, suitcase by her side, and right behind her, in the background, was Marcy. Frozen, mid-step, mouth slightly open, caught in the act of realizing that the woman walking through the doors was not room service. I zoomed in until the pixels bled. Marcy was wearing a floral wrap and carrying a drink. Her hand was half lifted, like she was about to wave or say something casual. But the expression on her face? That wasn't fear. That was recognition. They'd met before. Of course they had. Probably at some gym mixer or fundraiser. Maybe Marcy thought Trina was just some dull wife with a gluten allergy and a boring haircut. Turns out, she was the storm wrapped in silk. I didn't hear from Trina for a while after that. But Marcy did. Apparently, Trina didn't just walk past them. She walked straight to the front desk, upgraded her own suite, and had a bottle of Merlot sent to room 314 with a handwritten note. Since you like surprise upgrades. From one woman who knows the truth to another who's about to taste it. Marcy didn't respond. Devin did. He emailed the resort manager. He tried to claim harassment. Asked to move rooms. Even wanted the staff to remove an aggressive woman from the premises. I got this info from Trina herself. She befriended the front desk girl and offered her a cash tip for every update. But here's the twist. Devin's company, the one Trina was filing a complaint with, she CC'd them on everything. The hotel invoice, the photos, even Devin's attempt to kick her out of the resort. It wasn't just about cheating anymore. It was about public image, corporate ethics, and, oh yeah, Trina had just emailed me a copy of their shared business credit card statement. Turns out, Devin had put the romantic extras on that, not just his personal card. The guy had charged a sunset catamaran cruise to his wife's professional expenses. I don't know what scared him more, Trina's presence or the HR investigation now opening against him in the States. But Marcy? She was quiet. Too quiet. No texts. No voicemails. Just silence. Like she was hoping it would all go away if she just refused to acknowledge it. But that was the problem with sand. No matter how far you bury it, it always shifts. And secrets buried in paradise? They never stay buried for long. It wasn't the silence that scared me. It was the shift. You can feel it when someone changes strategies. When panic turns to planning. Marcy wasn't quiet because she was embarrassed anymore. She was quiet because she was calculating. That made her dangerous. But before I could figure out what she was brewing, Devin's tower finally tipped. Trina texted me a screenshot from a corporate memo that had just gone out to shareholders. Devin Strake is currently under internal investigation and has been placed on administrative leave pending review. Boom. 3 lines. No emotion. No apology. Just corporate execution. I pictured him reading that on his phone, sunburned and sweating by the pool, watching his world dissolve under a canopy of palm leaves. He had no idea how much Trina had already lined up. HR documents, bank statements, a letter from her attorney threatening to subpoena hotel footage if they didn't cooperate. And still, not a peep from Marcy. That is, until 2:08 a.m. I was half asleep when the voice memo came in. I didn't even hear the buzz. Just woke up to a single red bubble on my screen, her name in bold. I listened, and for once, I wished I hadn't. I didn't go looking for this. You stopped seeing me. You stopped hearing me, Kelton. Do you know what it feels like to live in a house where the silence is louder than any fight? Devin. Devin noticed. He listened. He reminded me I exist. She paused, sniffled, then kept going. I didn't want to hurt you. I just didn't want to feel nothing anymore. But now everything's ruined. He's blaming me. He's saying I set him up. And I don't even know what I'm doing here anymore. Click. No tears. Just that same flat, empty tone I'd heard too often toward the end. Like I was a to-do list she didn't want to finish. I wanted to be angry. To scream. To remind her I was the one who stayed. The one who carried everything when she started letting go. But all I felt was tired. And then, like the universe had a twisted sense of timing, I got another message. This time from the front desk assistant Trina had befriended. She wrote, "Your wife was crying in the lobby. Alone. He left. Took the shuttle 20 minutes ago. Didn't even say goodbye. She asked for a new room. Told us she needed space. Same sandals, different man, huh? That last line hit me harder than I wanted to admit. Because, yeah, I remembered those sandals. The ones that started all this. And now she was sitting there, barefoot, abandoned by the same man she'd burned everything for. I stared at the ceiling for a while, wondering what came next. I wasn't interested in comforting her. I wasn't even interested in closure. But part of me wanted to see what she'd do now, when she didn't have anyone left to perform for. And that's when I remembered something. 2 weeks before the trip, she'd left a tab open on my laptop by accident. Some flashy travel site, the kind that lets you book romantic excursions. At the time, I thought it was just window shopping. Now I opened that same site, logged in with her old password, and added one last booking to her profile. A solo spa day, rose quartz facial, guided meditation, lavender oil massage. Then I changed the name on the booking. Not to hers, to mine. Let her see it when she checks the app. Let her know I was still watching. She wanted to feel something? Now she'd feel exactly what it's like to be left behind. 3 days later, she landed back in the country, alone, sunburned, and quiet. I didn't pick her up. Not because I was trying to prove anything, but because she didn't ask. And honestly, I think we both knew what silence meant now. It was the only language we had left between us that didn't feel like a lie. She messaged me once after landing. Can I stay at the house until I figure things out? I stared at the screen, then replied with a single word. Sure. No warmth. No anger. Just a hallway with no lights left on. She arrived late. I didn't see her, just heard the keys jingle in the lock and the door creak open, slower than usual, like she was sneaking into a life she no longer belonged in. I stayed in my home office, lights off, door shut. I heard her walk through the kitchen, stop near the fridge, then linger at the hall where our wedding photo used to hang. I'd taken it down last week. She stood there anyway. She didn't unpack. She didn't even go upstairs. I think she slept on the couch. I think she was too afraid to step into our bedroom and find it the same, yet completely foreign. By morning, she was gone again. But that's when the real unraveling started. Because while she was gone, the mail arrived. And inside it was an envelope from a bank neither of us used anymore. I opened it out of habit. The address was still in both our names. But the contents? Pure, sharpened irony. Inside was a loan application denial, addressed to her. It stated she had insufficient collateral to qualify for even a modest personal loan. It referenced an existing credit flag, one I had no idea she'd triggered. And at the bottom of the letter, in bold, was a final note. Recent large travel expenses and co-signed debts have significantly impacted your financial risk rating. Co-signed. That's when I remembered. The joint credit card she insisted we keep open for emergencies only. The one she hadn't touched in years. Until the Dominican. That meant every mojito, every couple's upgrade, every indulgent extra was now tied to both our credit profiles. And she thought I wouldn't notice? I called the bank. Got a patient representative named Sandra, who confirmed what I feared. Marcy had maxed the card during the trip. And now, unless both cardholders agreed to pay it down in full, the balance would sit there, accruing interest, dragging my score down with hers. I should have exploded. Instead, I did something worse. I printed the statement and taped it, neatly, center-aligned, on the mirror in the guest bathroom, the one she always used to reapply her makeup. I didn't leave a note. No passive-aggressive comment. Just the raw math of her decisions, staring back at her in 12-point font and cold black ink. Later that evening, I heard the bathroom door close. A pause, then a rustle of paper, then nothing. She didn't come out for 20 minutes. When she finally did, she walked past my office, paused at the doorway, and whispered, "Did you do this to hurt me?" I didn't turn around. I just said, without blinking, "No, you did it to yourself." I just stopped hiding the mirror. She didn't reply. She left again the next morning. No suitcase. No message. Just gone. And I had no idea if she'd be back. But for once, I didn't care. I opened the fridge. There was one slice of our old anniversary cake in the freezer. I microwaved it. Ate it with a spoon. It tasted like nothing. But at least it didn't taste like her lies. It arrived in a cream-colored envelope. Thick paper. Handwritten address. No return name. For a second, I thought it was a thank you card from a client. Or maybe one of those pity invitations to a wedding where they stick you at the table with the weird cousin and the divorced uncle. But as soon as I opened it and saw the handwriting, My stomach dropped. It was from Marcy. A letter. Not a text. Not a voicemail. A real, old-fashioned letter like she was trying to remind me she was once capable of sincerity. But the thing is, when someone hands you a match after burning your house down, you don't thank them for the effort. Still, I read it. Every word. Kelton, I know I've ruined the version of me you once loved. And I know I've given you every reason to walk away for good. But before you shut the door completely, I need you to know something. I didn't fall in love with Devin. I fell out of myself. I wanted to feel wanted. I wanted to remember what it felt like to be interesting. And I was too much of a coward to tell you how lonely I'd become sleeping next to a man who never looked up from his spreadsheets. Maybe you think this is just damage control. Maybe it is. But if there's anything left of the woman you once called your anchor, then let her say this one last thing. I'm sorry. Not for the trip. Not for the lies. I'm sorry that I kept expecting you to fix me when I was the one who broke first. It ended without a signature. Just a blank space where her name should have been. I sat there holding that letter for 15 minutes before I realized what I was feeling wasn't heartbreak. It was fury dressed in nostalgia. Because even in her apology, she found a way to make it about her loneliness, her fading reflection, her crisis. Not once did she acknowledge the nights I sat across from an empty chair at dinner. Not once did she apologize for making me think I was the boring one. But she didn't stop with the letter. No, she did what she always does. She escalated. 2 days later, I got a call from my employer's HR department. Apparently, someone had submitted an anonymous report accusing me of unauthorized surveillance and harassment by proxy during a private trip involving a former partner. They'd attached screen grabs of emails, receipts, and even the hotel invoice I had arranged. I knew immediately where it came from. She tried to flip the script, paint me as the unstable ex, stalking her vacation, invading her privacy. It was a smart play. If I hadn't already told my boss everything weeks ago, I'd shown him the charges that hit our shared card. I'd explained the situation in plain terms. Betrayal, humiliation, revenge light. I didn't lie. I didn't exaggerate. I just told the truth before she had the chance to twist it. And my boss? He laughed. Told me he once caught his wife having an affair with his chiropractor. Said I was handling it with unusual restraint. So when HR received that little anonymous report, they flagged it and filed it in the trash. But I wasn't done. Because here's what Marcy didn't realize. Trina had screenshots too, including one particularly damning exchange between Marcy and Devin, where they joked about how clueless I was and how she planned to string me along until after her birthday so she could cash in the gilt card for a new designer watch. Yeah, the woman who wrote me a handwritten apology also wrote that. Trina didn't send it to me. She posted it, anonymously, in a private Facebook group for women supporting women who got cheated on. Turns out betrayal is a circle, and now Marcy was in the center of it. The post got reshared. Screenshots floated. A few gym friends messaged me screenshots of their group chat, where Marcy was suddenly silent. One even said, "We had no idea. Honestly, we all thought you were the one holding her back." Guess not. That hurt more than I expected. Not because I wanted their pity, but because I realized she'd made me into a villain for years before she ever left me. She rewrote our story long before she ever boarded that flight. And now? Now people were finally reading the footnotes. The last message I ever got from her wasn't even a sentence. It was just a photo. A blurry shot of the house key resting on the kitchen counter next to a glass of water and a half-eaten protein bar. No caption. No goodbye. She'd let herself out. No drama. No final confrontation. Just the quiet closing of a door she'd already walked through long ago. I didn't reply. I didn't need to. That photo was the last chapter in a story that stopped making sense a long time ago. But it was also something else. A signal. She was done pretending. And finally, so was I. The following week, I changed the locks, called the bank, closed the joint account, and had her name legally removed from everything. Utilities, taxes, the emergency contacts on my doctor's file. It was like unbraiding two lives that had been twisted too tightly, too long. And then, I made a choice. I booked a flight. Not to the Dominican. Not to chase the ghosts she left behind. But to somewhere new. Somewhere quiet. I flew to Mendocino. A sleepy coastal town where the ocean doesn't try to impress you. It just exists, soft and relentless. I rented a small cabin. No Wi-Fi. No social media. Just me, a journal, and the quiet hum of fog rolling in every morning like clockwork. The first night there, I sat on the porch wrapped in a blanket, sipping lukewarm tea, and I realized something I hadn't felt in months. Stillness. Not silence. Not loneliness. Not numbness. Stillness. I wasn't checking her location. I wasn't replaying old arguments in my head. I wasn't rehearsing the perfect comeback I'd never get to deliver. I was just there, breathing, being. The next morning, I walked into a bookstore cafe near the water, ordered something ridiculous, an oat milk lavender latte I would have mocked 6 months ago. Sat down with a book I didn't pretend to understand. And that's where I met Avery. She asked if she could share the table. I nodded. She was reading Vonnegut, wore mismatched socks, ordered a triple espresso, and then didn't touch it. We didn't talk much that first day, but she smiled when she left. And that smile didn't demand anything from me. It didn't ask me to be interesting or confident or whole. It just saw me. Weeks passed. We kept bumping into each other. By accident at first. Then not so much. She wasn't a replacement. She wasn't a rebound. She was just calm and kind and real. One evening, I told her the whole story, everything. The betrayal, the emails, the beach, even the upgraded room and the anonymous hotel charges. She listened, didn't flinch, didn't laugh. When I finally stopped talking, she looked at me and said, "Sounds like she gave you the best excuse to finally start your life over." And that was it. No therapy buzzwords. No romantic fairy dust. Just a clean, honest sentence that hit me harder than any of Marcy's confessions ever had. I don't know what the future looks like. I don't know if Avery is part of it. But I do know this. I stopped checking my phone. I sleep through the night. And for the first time in years, when I look in the mirror, I don't see a ghost of who I used to be. I see a man who survived the storm, who didn't scream, who didn't break, who upgraded her room, and ended up upgrading his life. Funny how that works.